so now these are our panel of experts. Emma, if you can bring Spencer up on the screen so you can see us too. And I've introduced myself every month for the last 6 months. I'm not going to say a lot about myself. I'm just going to tell you that I did start a new realty business here in Santa Barbara called Now Realty. I can't advertise it too much yet, but just know we're coming, and as soon as DRE days to say you guys are okay, we'll tell you all about Now Realty here in Santa Barbara. So now I'd like to, is he up there? Okay, great. So now I'd like to give each of our panelists a chance to speak, and I'm going to go in the order that you guys are on the screen. So Randy, would you like to take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself and your business?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. I've been doing this a long time. So lead generation will be a fun topic to talk about because I think the better you get at that, the longer you'll be doing this. And I think it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of age ranges of people, including people who have been in the business a very long time. My friend Isaac, Joanne. The fact that you guys are here to learn it's the key to the next part of your life. So I hope we can provide something that you take home with you and can make some money on, because that's the plan. Thanks.
Thanks. I am Jan Finley. Thank you, Robert, for another event. I think this is awesome, and for the vendors that came. I'm Jan Finley. I've lived in Santa Barbara since 1970. I worked with Nordstrom, left Nordstrom, went into real estate down here. I got my license in 2002 and did commercial real estate for 6 years. And then moved to the Valley in 2007. There's not enough commercial real estate in the Valley, so I was doing both. And for me, it took me a while to figure out, who am I, a commercial, or I'm a commercial, I'm not a residential. But that comes from starting out in real estate with Randy at RE/MAX and watching all these crazy women with their MLS books and their the pagers. I mean, to watch the change in the industry over the years, it's amazing. From then I wanted to be commercial, not residential, but I love my residential right now. 2007 I moved to the Valley and I represent my clients there and in Santa Barbara. And I am married with 3 kids and 7 grandchildren.
Lucky.
And now I'm going to turn to our guest on the screen, Spencer Sue. Spencer's a member with me in the Agent Hustle Network. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your business, Spencer? Can you hear me?
You should be.
Spencer, can you hear me?
We can't hear him.
We can't hear you,
Hold
Spencer.
on.
Hold on. Are you muted?
This happens every 6 months.
Try again. No?
This shouldn't be muted.
What's that? You can't hear Spencer at all? We have no volume. Technical difficulties.
Ask him to unmute himself.
Are you unmuted, Spencer? Nod your head if you're unmuted. He is. He's a pro. He would know.
Bring my top menu down.
Hold on, our mute button.
Our mute button.
Check it out.
It says it's on.
Oh, looks like now.
You can hear us.
Yeah.
That's her speaking, not him.
Emma, I'm going to leave you and Spencer trying to figure that out, see if we can get it, and we'll ask Taryn Martin to please talk a little bit about yourself and your business.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Taryn Martin. I started in the real estate industry in the year 2000 when I was 17 years old. I went into a mortgage broker's office by suggestion of my work experience counselor when I was a senior in high school. And she's like, go apply for this job, you'll be great. And I did, and before I knew it, I was a processing supervisor of a brokerage in the Northern California area. And that was, 2006 to 2007-8, and we all know what happened then. So I was essentially unemployed, and so I moved to Santa Barbara and, enrolled at UCSB, and my only, work experience up until that point was in the real estate industry. And so, I actually just opened the phone book and started calling every company that had anything to do with real estate or mortgages. And I found myself an assistant job. And, the rest, I was an assistant until I graduated, and I didn't have any, no plans to get into sales. I was terrified of being a commission-only person, but, things just worked out, and I was just left with like, you better just get a real estate license, otherwise you're just gonna be chained to this desk, which was not gonna happen. I was like over the whole assistant thing. And, in 2016, I got my license, and I knew exactly what to do because I had been, in the industry for a while, working for a really good agent who did a lot of deals. And I had, the backdoor information on all of the logistics, the marketing, the transaction management, start to finish, buyers through all I wrote every contract for him. And so I knew exactly what to do. And, I stayed with Sotheby's. That was, where he was. I just stayed there because I liked it, and I just... It was Dan Johnson, yeah. And, here I am today. It went okay. So, thanks.
Do we have Spencer yet? Spencer, say something. Let's see if we can hear you. No? Okay. All right, well, thanks for trying to join us, Spencer. We'll have to try and work out our technical difficulties when we're not doing it in front of a room, but we'll let you go. Sorry. Emma, can you go next slide?
Yeah, he has access to my screen.
Oh, you have to give us the screen back, Spencer. Can you get, there we go.
There we go.
Hi, Spencer.
He can hear us.
He can still hear us. All right, so can we go next slide? So this is the first question. I think I'm going to start with Jan. Jan, what's the one consistent characteristic that's enabled you to grow and sustain stability in the real estate business? Like one word.
Yeah.
Well, mentorship and the faith in yourself to do it, no matter what. So Steve Golis was the partner I went to work with for, oh, sorry. I think it is on. Can you hear me now? Here you go. I'll hold it. Okay, so anyway, I worked with a very successful commercial real estate agent side by side, wrote all the contracts, learned the business that way, and I gained the confidence because I would find the buyers, and I wrote all those contracts, learned with institutional buyers and sellers, and I just went out gangbusters in 2008. So the market fell, right? I go, oh, I'm by myself. You got to keep going. It's just faith in yourself, faith in your ability to overcome anything. I think that's what sustained me, and all of our lives are different. So whatever we go through is our path. But I just believed in myself, and I love people. And so I love staying in touch with people. And I love being friends with them, not just because they're my client, but really good friends. So that's what sustained me in this business.
Okay, let's see. Who wants to go next? Taryn?
Sure. I have to say being organized in a CRM is one thing that's kept me consistent the whole time. Everything from not just like lead follow-up, but transaction management, action plans, and time blocking, and being really granular within the calendar, within my CRM, like what I'm doing each hour of the day, who I'm calling, what marketing piece I'm working on, what escrow or listing I'm working on. Having that structure has really helped me be consistent.
Thank you. Randy?
I would say motivation, your personal motivation, because this is a hard business. There's so much that goes into it, and for better or worse, when I first got in the business, I was happy to work 80 hours a week, whatever it was. You know, it's almost like you're smitten by it, and you can't. You just want to work all the time. I wasn't married. It was easy to, no kids. You know, your life is pretty focused on earning at that point. As I was in the business a while longer, I realized I'm running a business, and what I'm really selling is my time. And the more time I spend either with someone who's not motivated or doing things that don't lead to income producing things, I'm totally wasting my time. And so if I'm spending 10 hours a week on income motivating, income generating things, that means if I'm working 50 hours a week, I'm spending 40 hours on things that aren't generating any income. And I had to switch that because I didn't want to work 50 hours. I wanted to work 30 hours. And I wanted to generate enough income to have the life I wanted. So, you know, I through coaching, learned that there's certain things that I shouldn't be doing, and you can hire them and still get everything done.
So we're going to try, we're not going to be able to see Spencer, but I'm going to hold him up to the microphone and let him answer the question. Spencer, what's the one correct, consistent characteristic that's enabled you to sustain your business over time? Try again.
Your microphone's on top.
Hello? Yeah, we can hear you. You guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, well thank you. Sorry about all this. One day I'll be with you guys. So, what's the one characteristic that allows us to
Have him mute himself there.
Hold on, I gotta mute myself. Oh, on the phone?
If
Yes.
his Zoom is muted, otherwise he's getting reverb and we're hearing it. So he's gonna do it on his laptop.
Oh, computer. You gotta unmute, you gotta mute your phone.
No, his computer.
Or your computer.
No, that's not. Still reverbing.
Yeah, we still got tons of reverb.
I would mute yourself.
My microphone?
No.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So no talking.
One of the main things that I focus on is the thing that you can control. This year is already shaping up to be one of the most difficult weeks that we will all experience. Now, we can't control what the Fed is doing. We can't control inflation. We can't control whether there's somebody who ultimately wants to buy or sell. But what we can control is how much time and effort we are putting out in terms of generating new relationships, going deeper on the existing relationships, and doing what we can to add value to people. Like, those are the things that allow me to grow very quickly, and also allows my team to be focused on the effort side of things. But what I suspect is that we're going to be doing a whole lot more effort over the next year or year plus than we've ever had to do before. But those that are willing to do that find more success in that.
Okay, so I just want to kind of paraphrase what I heard for a takeaway. I heard a lot of work. Like, it takes a lot of work. And I heard a lot of focus and time management. Those are the two things that I think are consistent among, that everybody said. So let's go ahead and go to the next question, please, Emma. All right. How much of your time is spent on marketing versus prospecting versus lead generation versus influencing? And let's start with you, Randy.
Is this on? No?
Is it?
Better? Yeah.
There you go.
I would see zero influencing. Not even sure what that is. Yeah.
This is the day of Instagram. It's Instagram.
Lead generation and prospecting is, the truth is I spend a lot of time doing that. And the truth is I should spend a lot more time doing that. So I've been very focused at times doing that, and those are, you know, it's probably what's gotten my business to where it is. Now that I'm a little more established and have been doing this a long time and have a lot of repeat and referral business, for better or worse, I don't do it as much. I'm not proud of that, but that's the truth. Marketing, I leave to other people. I mean, I love marketing. I think it's super fun. There was a time in my life where I wanted to be an ad executive because I love writing ads and stuff like that, but again, that stuff doesn't usually generate income. And so, again, just try and focus more on what's going to bring in income and less on the stuff that other people can do for me and probably do a better job of it.
Jan, you want to answer that?
On this or this?
Either one.
Okay. Okay. I probably spend way too much on marketing because I love marketing. I love pretty things. I love to make it interesting and different and make myself stand out. And so I take some of that, too much of that, into my own hands. And Emma is my assistant, and she's fabulous at it. So together we're working on getting better at me farming that out. But I love sending emails, and I love sending information. I learned that we have to send content. And so when that works for you, you're not just sending out links to articles or what's going on in Santa Barbara. You're not doing that. You are putting your own content together. So that works for me. I get people stopping me and say, thank you so much for those emails. So whatever works for you, do that. And so prospecting, I'm very good at cold calling because that's what I did at Radius Group, commercial real estate. So I can pick up the phone and I don't have a problem cold calling anybody. That works for me too. I get deals that way. I get transactions that way. Find out what people need, solve their problem. Influencing, I love with my mentors. We're really into YouTube, so we're gearing that up full steam. Interviewing different people, giving people some education. It is a very difficult year in real estate because there's so many bells and whistles out there, and I love all of it. And so my mentor said, okay, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out. And even he is on YouTube telling you what you need to do in this day and age. If you want a team, I don't want a big team because I don't want 11 apps that I'm going to be paying for every month besides everything else. I mean, it's expensive now in real estate, and the more money you spend, those people, it's the person who's spending the most money in their marketing, let me tell you right now. I don't want that kind of business. I want a business that I talk to these people, I know these people, and I can help them more hands-on. That's my plan. So, influencing, again, is just what I do on YouTube, my mailing with the marketing. And I don't pay for lead generation. I refuse to. I'm sorry. Everybody wants us to pay for it. I am not going to pay for it because we're just paying Zillow to take our work. So if I don't get a lot of business because I'm not lead generating through that way, that's a bit scary because of AI. But I have enough faith I can do my business. I can find the business for me and for my team. And, but I do know the world is changing and you have to spend more money.
Is my mic working or no? I guess.
Hit that button.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so we spend a lot of time on marketing. I have a full-time 40-hour-a-week assistant for the marketing. A lot of that is video editing, writing scripts. So between, you know, I did like an hour quantification for you guys if you want to know. So Between my full-time assistant and I on marketing is about 45 hours a week. So he does, again, like all the editing and posting and social media, like tagging and all of that good stuff. And yes, we do use, it's Jasper, not ChatGPT, to help with scripting. Just a little fun fact. And then, you know, in terms of prospecting, I'm definitely on the phones 6 to 8 hours a week. I wish it were more. And lead gen right now, I mean, the best lead gen has always been, for me, open houses. But right now I'm doing all the paid sources, you know, PPC, Zillow, stuff like that, that kind of run on autopilot. But again, open houses are best. And so, you know, 4 hours a week I'm doing open houses, and then influencing is pretty much integrated with my video marketing. So that's all together, so yeah.
And Spencer, do you want to answer this question?
Can't hear him. Oh, unmute.
I've got him unmuted. Now I've got him muted. Now I've got him unmuted.
We can just say yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yep.
Yeah, so I would say 80% of my time is spent on the combination of the things, whether it's following up on existing contacts that are not that active. It could be creating content, so whether it's like YouTube or shorts or these different things related to social media. But I would say a good amount of time, like 80% of my time is focused this way. Now we're also in a very different phase of just where we want to be. We're trying to grow and add a lot more clients. And so for us to be able to get that top of the funnel wide enough, it's a lot of outbound, a lot of marketing, and a lot of content.
Okay, thank you. We can go ahead and go to the next slide, but I want to take a second and point out that you heard a lot of different answers to that question. And the reason there are a lot of different answers is because there's a lot of different ways to do this business and do it successfully. So one of the reasons that I wanted to do a panel discussion on this topic was so that you'd hear from some really good lead generations in different categories. So I'd like, while this question is on the screen, I'd really like to have you guys focus on what your specialty is in terms of lead generation. So I know, Taryn, maybe you want to talk about that first?
Sure. Okay, so I'm here about my videos. So I'll tell you what that looks like for me. I started doing it, once a week. I did a 1-minute video once a week, a Martin Minute, and that was 5 years ago. And I recorded it on my phone, and I wrote the script that day, and I, did multiple takes, but I got it up. And that has sort of evolved into, professional, videographer, and we're releasing 3 to 4 videos a week and on different topics. And I batch record those. So we get, I try to keep it simple and repeatable in terms of the content that we're putting out, because if I overcomplicate it, I'm not going to do it. So, I make it repeatable and easy, same set of data, just, and, we get all the scripts together and I record them, and I've got it to where it's almost one take. And I can record, all 12 videos for the month in about an hour. And, that's what, and then it's all about the time blocking. So I'm scheduling my time to, get the scripts together, and then, I spend an hour on the weekend to get it done. And then that just saves me so much time in the long run where I don't have to think about it again for another month. And I have a really good assistant who spends time finding topics for me to touch on and, interesting things to hit on about Santa Barbara, in addition to, the actual market statistics that we're delivering. So we try to come and be, provide value in many different facets of, Santa Barbara and real estate, and not always be real estate centered, to just kind of hit it on all angles.
All right, I'd like now to shift over to Randy. And Randy, I want you to talk about why everybody in town calls you a beast when it comes to the phone.
Oh, yeah.
So when I hear the stuff about videos and influencing and it sort of drives me nuts because our market's changed in the last 2 or 3 years, but prior to that, someone told me this a long time ago. If you price properties well, you don't have to advertise, you don't have to do videos, you don't have to do pretty much anything. They sort of sell themselves. And once that idea kind of crystallized in my head, I realized, and there's times when it's really hard to do that. It's hard to price property right now because you look at the comps and you're like, oh my God, that house sold for $2.5 million and they were gonna tear it down. Like, I mean, I don't, you know. So this market's a little different, but in a normal market, the information you're sharing with the people, and again, to me, especially if you're new in the business, you need to be on the phone. I don't think a video has ever sold a house. I mean, maybe, again, I'm kind of old school, so maybe these things have passed me by maybe, but if you're not talking to people, you're not going to do business. You're not going to survive. That's what I believe. So you can put out videos. You can spend a lot of time on things that aren't about selling homes. I think it's a difficult way to go. I think you're going to end up working way more hours than you should. And you're not, I mean, the bottom line is we all want listings, right? Like, that's sort of maybe I'm wrong. These guys are going to tell you different, I think. I'd love to see Taryn on the phone as long as she's doing her videos, calling her past clients, calling the people, even making cold calls. I think you're going to generate more business that way.
Okay, so I know what I have to do after this event is over. I have to make sure to keep you and Taryn and the video guys at the back of the room away from each other. Jen, I'd like you to talk about referral marketing and sphere of influence marketing, if you would.
Okay, but I want to answer that former question too, because mine is totally different. What the best, was it lead gen? That is for me, is when I throw out a postcard to specific areas and my sphere of influence and clients and put on a party. That's a huge thing for people when you invite them to a party. Okay, and so, now what's the second question you want me to do?
Well, you already started talking about sphere of influence.
So that grows my sphere of influence. My sphere of influence, of course, I've lived here since 1970. But I moved to the Valley, and let me tell you, that hurts you. When you leave Santa Barbara and you move to San Ynez, people say, oh, she retired. There's no way I've retired. No. So I represent my clients in Santa Barbara that have interests down here, and I represent them in the Valley. And really, the referral, that's how, another question later, but that's how I've done my business, is referral only. And I know I have to step it up and spend more money this year on some of this crazy stuff. But that's not going to make it solid. You have to call people, spend time with them, and make them feel like you care about their solutions in their life. This is not just about selling real estate. I don't care about having 40 listings unless I can really do a good job for all of those people. Now, some people have a team that can handle that. I don't want a team like that. So we have a boutique team, and I like my boutique team, and we're going to handle all of our customers with kid gloves.
And what do you do to generate referral business?
Well, that's how I do it. If I gave good service to this client over here, she's going to refer me to all her neighbors.
Do you ask for referrals?
I've just, since I have my new mentor now, I'm asking for referrals. I didn't like to ask for referrals. But I do say, I'm never too busy for your referrals, absolutely, on all my emails. And if I've done such a good job, I just, I hate being salesy. I wasn't salesy in my career at Nordstrom. It's a personal relationship thing. And if I'm going to do a good job, I'm going to do a good job for you. It's not about being salesy for me, so that was hard for me. But you do have to ask for the business. You do have to say, look, I'd really appreciate anybody that you think of that's good selling, you know I do a good job, I'd love to help them. That's how I'm going to say it. But I don't like saying that, but I'm going to get over that. Put my big pants on.
Okay, you get a round of applause for that. Thank you, Jen, I appreciate that. And Spencer, I'm going to read the question that's on the screen for you. It says, what does that look like in a typical week? So you have a split of business that you do. How does that look in a typical week for you?
Yeah, so because we do a lot of outreach and a lot of prospecting, my days are pretty similar. Let's just talk weekdays first. Weekdays are pretty similar all day each week. The morning is allocated to follow up on existing leads or follow up on people that express some potential level of interest at one point to try to get them to sync up again or to go over like a strategy we call it, to go over some options. And then the afternoons would be a combination of things for me because I run a team, so maybe team leadership kind of options. It could be appointments, it could be showings, it could be just replying back to the different leaders on the team. And then the evening would be more geared towards things that are not as time sensitive. So it could be reviewing disclosures, getting some things ready for the following day and things like that. So, and then on the weekends, we're always trying to host open houses. And then I would say like before and after we may be doing showings, and then usually like the evening time I do a lot of content, so I try to batch them together. And I can hear a little bit of the comment about like the video side of things. The video is correct where it's not going to close any business for you, but it does open up a lot of doors. And then it's something that's ongoing, right? And like, for example, I have like a video of like living in Sunnyvale, and that has maybe like 20,000 views, and it's maybe 2 years old now. And the cool part about that is we still keep getting more and more people over time that will reach out to us to begin conversations. But you're absolutely correct. That's no different like a referral. That's like one way of people getting to know you and like you and reaching out, but you still gotta do the same things that you would do for any client, which is help them through the whole process.
All right, great. Emma, can we get the next? Oh, sure, Randy, go ahead. You want to rebut a little bit?
Not really. What I want to do is retract maybe a little bit of what I was saying. Okay. Like Taryn's very successful. Most of the people in this room would probably die to have her business. So, like, I'm not saying, but I bet if we looked at Taryn's book of business over the last 3 years and looked at who those people are, they would be people she's either sold a house to or a referral from someone she sold a house to, not necessarily someone who saw her video. So I think that's a really important, I'd love to look at your business and say, where'd that person come from? Because do you know how many videos are out there right now? There's thousands of them. I mean, I don't know, are these people just sitting around in their houses going, I'm gonna watch videos and then pick a realtor? I doubt it. So I think that personal contact is really the key, and that's where the business is coming from. And I strongly suggest to go back and look at your book of business, look at the homes you've sold over the last 4 years or whatever you've done. Look at how you'll remember, oh yeah, my friend Greg referred that guy. Or that's the neighbor of the property I sold on Santa Barbara Street, or whatever the deal is. Like, that's where the business comes from. This other stuff is great, and it's great marketing, and I think it's fun. It can be very expensive. It can be very time consuming. I think if you focus on those other people who are referring you business, you'll get a lot more listings.
Can I say one more thing?
Okay. Well, no, I mean, yeah, so I have the stats for you, Randy. I did the research for this, and I looked at my last 12 months. So absolutely past clients, you know, top of the list of the top 3 lead pillars for sure. You know, that's 40% of the like 20 transactions of last year. But right under that is the direct response from the Martin Minute videos. Been directly reached out through Instagram and my email marketing, which has all of my videos. And did 4 in the last 12 months, closed sales directly from the video marketing, and then the rest of the top 3 was web leads.
So I just wanted to point out, it's maybe a little late now, Randy, that was the worst retraction I've ever heard, but a pretty good rebuttal.
He can get away with it.
Yeah.
No, he can't, not here.
He can get away with it.
All I would say is that if I were Terrence's coach, I would say if you're spending 30 hours a week on those videos and you did 4 deals from it, I'd rather you spend 30 hours on the phone, and I would bet you $100,000 that you would generate way more business from those 30 hours of calling people than you would from your videos.
Well, that's not as much fun, Randy.
No, it's not as much fun. It's way harder to
My
make
assistant does 40 hours a week of it. I do a few.
Well, why doesn't she should be on the phone?
She's on the phone. She's a buyer's agent, not my assistant. I have a full marketing.
Again, I would just say if you're dedicating 40 hours to something, I would prefer you dedicate 40 hours to phone calls and 10 hours to videos.
So she's got her own business.
No, I get it. I get it. And I'm not picking. I'm sorry. I'm really not picking on you. I'm very impressed with you. You're an amazing agent, and you're very successful. That was my retraction. It wasn't about you're not. I just think there might be a better way to do it.
The value of the phone is not lost on me. I totally agree with that. Like that's inevitable. Like that's one like solid way. And what was hammered into me, you know, I got into coaching immediately because that's what the person I was working for was in. And it was drilled into me to start doing video. And I was hesitant and I didn't want to. And I pretty quickly learned to take my opinion out of it and to do what I was told because I didn't know what to do. And, you know, the level of exposure, people know me when they see me. When I come into a listing appointment, if they're at all tech savvy or have been on any social media platform, they don't ask me that many questions. They already trust me. There's already rapport, and it's laid the path for a lot of the business that I've gotten.
So I want to take responsibility for this argument because I did invite people with different perspectives, right? So we're going to get some disagreement, and it's my fault. I invited people who disagree. But I think it's really valuable for us as a community to have this discussion where we can all decide which side of this particular debate do we want to come down on. And it's kind of new school,
right.
Old school.
I think we're both right. Yeah.
And there's no wrong, right?
Yeah.
We have a question from the room. So,
Yeah.
What is the demographics of your clients? Are you dealing with really, you know, like Randy to Tara? What is your age range? Where are they coming from? Are they
Second homes, primary residence.
It's not one thing. It's not one thing. Mm-mm.
Can I tell you I want my goal for video?
You can.
An expert, I took it, but so Taryn's doing really, really good at that. I can't stand it. I have to have my hair right and everything else. Whoa, my God. And so I learned, okay, it's this lady, she's very successful. She goes to her hairdresser, gets her hair done every Saturday, and goes home and films all day Saturday. So that takes the stress out of all my hair.
okay, let's have the next question, please. All right, we've actually talked about this a little bit, but let's talk about it a little bit more. 3 main sources for closed escrows in the last 12 months. Spencer, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I was actually, I think there's a lot of good dialogue in the background that I'm hearing of like, well, someone allocated more time doing one thing or another. And it is correct, everybody should be really understanding
And even it's what I always ask too, because I do a lot of content on YouTube, is how did you find me, right? How did you find me? How did we connect? It could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be YouTube. And that way you can then track on your end. I use a really good tool that I would recommend everybody to use, which is called Sisu, and it's spelled sisu.co. And it's a very good analytic tool. So that way you can see exactly what were the biggest sources of business. For me, my 3 biggest sources, and these are my 3 main pillars, I'm gonna bundle some together so you can think about like your sphere and your circle. Now, it doesn't mean those are the people that really know me, but they're maybe connected with me on, let's say, social media, on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it may be. And because of the content that I post and create, there may be an attraction towards that. So I would say that's gonna be my biggest bulk, which will be 55% of my business, 55 to 60% of the business. So people within my connections that I kind of know, or kind of know, that's one side. The second one would be through online paid sources. So at the end of the day, there's always this debate of, oh, why are you paying this? Why are you doing this? At the end of the day, and there was a conversation earlier, we are all paying, you have 2 ways to grow your business. It's either through sweat equity, which is like calling and doing referrals and doing live events, or you're doing it from leveraging and you're paying money. At the end of the day, it's just a math equation. Does that lead source of what you're paying, does that make sense for you to do to get them on a little bit more at the bottom of the funnel, right? And so all of it has a approach to it. It has its own game to it. And you just need to understand, does that work cost effectively in the market that you're in? And for us, it does work. So 25% of my business is through that source. And then the rest would be through a combination. I would kind of bundle the last 2 between like open house and YouTube. That would be like the 3rd pillar for the rest.
All right. Jan, why don't you take this question next?
Mine's all been repeat clients. I help so many of them sell to buy. And, or investors that were buying rentals. And I turned around and rented those too. So that's where my business came from the last 12 months.
And Taryn, you've already kind of answered. Do you want to answer more? No, you're good. Okay, Randy, tell us.
80% of my business is from past clients and referrals. And again, I haven't done an open house in 15 years. I don't just show up to, you know, again, the way I look at it is if I can spend time talking to the people that I've done business with or my sphere, and again, I'm telling you, these are hard phone calls to make. I've been doing it for 30 years and I still get butterflies sometimes when I sit in my office at 9 o'clock and know that I'm going to make phone calls for 2 hours. It's hard. But if you generate business that way, and I'm guessing you will become more of a listing agent than a buyer's agent. If you do it, you almost don't have to do anything else. It's, you know, so I think it's a great way, you know, if the way you're doing it now isn't working, I would like you to try it that way and see what happens. It's hard though. I mean, I promise you it's really hard.
And Randy, before you give up the mic, can you talk a little bit about your process for getting referrals from existing clients?
Again, when I'm really on my game, I'm asking for it. And a lot of these people I've called over 20 years. And sometimes when you call them, they're like, oh, Randy, I don't have anybody for you right now. You know, they know why I'm calling. And again, it's not always that I'm sitting there going, hey, who do you know that needs to buy a house or sell a house right now? But, you know, over the years, and sometimes I'm calling them with what I would say is fairly important information. And these days, really everybody wants to hear about the real estate market. It's been nuts. right? And most people kind of know it's nuts, but they don't really know the details. So they're kind of anxious to hear from you. So I would call them and make sure they know, and then at the end ask them for business. Say, hey, I know you probably already know this, but if you know anybody that's thinking about selling, and this is what invariably happens. I either call people that I haven't talked to in a little while, and they say something like, oh, this is crazy that you're calling me. I was gonna call you because Joe and Tammy are gonna sell their house. That happens so much, like, you're like, what? Like, you know, like, that happens a lot. But more importantly, what happens is maybe it doesn't happen on that phone call, but about 3 weeks later, you'll get an email. It's like, Joe and Tammy said to call. We're thinking about selling. Can you come over and tell us what our house is worth? So I know it works. It doesn't always work right away, but it works.
All right, thank you. Next question, please. So as the market continues to shift, how will your efforts to obtain new business differ from previous years? How are we going to change our business to take cognizance of the fact that statistics say 45% fewer properties will come to market this year than last year? Taryn?
Concentrating on the best spend of time and money, I think, is the most important thing, especially for me. And, like, you know, doubling down on the things that give the best return, the best ROI things, you know. And like's already been said today, you know, it's talking to my past clients, it's talking to my sphere, and being consistent on the things that have been giving me business up until now, and even doing those things a little bit better.
So same things, even harder. Jan?
Yep, go back to those basics, call, have my parties. I am spending more money this year on marketing because I do believe that, you know, I've seen people jump realtors. I mean, thank God Randy's person after 20 years was still waiting for Randy. I mean, don't wait. I mean, those are the things we have to go back and call everybody. So I'm going to definitely get better on the phone, more phone calls, and more content to my sphere, and also video. I mean, we have to touch people everywhere, and I don't think you have to do video, Randy. You don't have to. Don't even worry about it. You're not even worried about it.
I'm going to start doing video.
Oh, good. Well, he's on Instagram. Give him a hand. They do good Instagram. But I'm spending more money this year. That's what it is all about.
Video. You're going to see me everywhere. No, I mean, I've already said what works. I know what works.
For you.
So I challenge you guys to try it.
All right, Spencer, your turn. I know you're going to have a different approach to this. What are you going to do differently this year?
I mean, I would also say, like, it's not necessarily a different approach from what the others have said. It's really understand, based on your own numbers, what is actually working, and just double down on that. And so I hear some like, you're having your phone calls with people, or with your past clients. Like, that's something that I need to continue to implement. I'm not using video to kind of hide behind a wall, but the video also can be something that they can passively see what I'm doing, right? So that's one component. The other is just posting more events. And not big events between 10 to 16 people. Be in front of them again, right? Like, that's, I enjoy that. I do a lot better in those kind of environments than just calling out of the middle of nowhere. But it's also an excuse to call people if you don't want to be like that person that just kind of just calls out of the blue just to check in. So these are like instruments to get you to have more conversations with past clients or advocates of yours. And then that's kind of, so that's on that end. So really important for me to keep growing that, because that is going to be, and it is the most profitable side of the business. On the other end, there's a comment about YouTube and video. There are some agents that are doing many millions of dollars a year just from YouTube as a source. And so the platform does work. Now, it's not easy, make no mistake. They do an incredibly good job, but that opportunity is available in a lot of markets, and all sorts of different markets. And so for us, the content creation of what people may be looking for as they move to an area is very, very important, because it's a very clear, there's very clear proof points of many different agents that are doing very well on YouTube. And they're not dominating YouTube, to be fair either. There's many big players, but they are on that one source alone, they're doing over $1 million GCI from it. So it's a very powerful thing. Not everybody can or wants to do that, but I get inspiration from seeing these successes in other markets.
All right, great. Thank you, Spencer. All right, last question. For a new agent just getting started or relaunching their business, what's one piece of advice you can give them to grow their sales pipeline? Spencer, do you want to start that?
Yeah, happy to. It's very difficult, to be fair, if you're a new agent in this environment. So number one, I would say, if possible, there's so many different great panelists here. People are in different phases of what they want to do, how much they want to manage people. Figure out what value can you give to others and try to join a team. I think it's incredibly beneficial right now to get some of this kind of behind the scenes access of like what is actually going on, what do they need to do to have a chance to survive in this time where it's going to be a very difficult time. So that's like number one if you can. But if you're solo and you just can't make that work, just control the efforts, right? We can't, like I said in the beginning, we can't control how many ultimate closings we have. Well, can you control that? I know Randy has mentioned like making calls, like actually doing the calls. How many calls are you actually doing? Who are you calling? How many outreach are you doing with your own circle, your own network? Are you growing that pie, right? All of these are effort-based measurements. And over time, as either the market changes or timing changes for these individuals, you may be in that position where they say, look, actually, I think you've been in touch with me for a while. We're at the right big time now. Let's discuss options. Or, hey, look, I have a friend that's moved here. They want to explore. And you talk to them, right? So really focus on what you can control, which is efforts, and track the efforts. Those will be the things that are very, very important for new agents or even existing agents.
Thank you, Spencer. Jan?
Can I use this? For new agents, definitely the team is the best. That's how I was raised in the business. So definitely getting on a team, you have the benefits of less overhead and learning. So that's huge. I believe that's huge. Plus, I love teams because there's more energy, more synergy. Also, I'm going to be partnering with, I don't have to have the agent on my team. I've seen several realtors in the area do it. Works beautifully. I have a good friend who is a realtor here as well. And also Emma's licensed as well down in Santa Barbara, and I'm in the Valley, and we can partner up that way to spread the load, spread the money, share the workload, and get more energy. I'm all about working with people. It brings more energy to the deal. I think we're raised in a certain mindset. We have to have this fancy website. We have to have all this stuff and be Santa Barbara movie star real estate agents. That's not my goal, and that's not me. I just want to work together, have fun doing real estate, and work with people that also love to have fun. And together we will do a really good job for our clients.
Pass the mic to Randy. Here's a challenge, Randy. Don't say the word phone in your answer.
Video.
Good.
YouTube. Instagram. No. I would say the only way to be successful when you're new is to make contacts. The more people you talk to every day is kind of your lifeline to staying in this business. And if you're not going to do it, you're probably going to end up selling shoes at Nordstrom or something. And again, you'll probably be successful. Because I'm guessing you're a pretty good salesperson, which is why you're trying to do this business. but you need to pick a time that you're going to make calls, and I can almost promise you it needs to be in the morning, because once the day gets started, there's way more distractions. So you need to pick the same time every day. You need to decide how many calls you're going to make.
Time blocking.
And you need to go lock yourself in a room with your computer off and make those calls. If it's 10 calls a day, do it. If you can get to 20, the beauty about being new in the business and not having a lot of business is you actually have the time to do this. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. Taryn, bring it home for us.
One thing that was critical for me was I immediately got into coaching. Well, actually, I closed a deal and then I got into coaching. If you can't afford a coach yet, I would get a mentor.
Who's your coach?
I'll talk to you after. And do everything they say and take your opinion out of it. And if you have a mentor, do anything they ask you to do, shadow them, do everything they do everything they said they did in the beginning, and just you know, take the action. It was a big, it was just kind of, you know, whole paradigm shift for me once I decided, like, failure is not an option. Do what you're told. If you knew what you were doing, you would already be successful, so you don't. So just do what the people who are successful are doing, or do what the person that you're paying to tell you what to do says to do.
Okay, so you have something else to say?
Also, come on, everybody says send a letter out, let everybody know that you're an agent now and you're here to help. So definitely call all the family, friends, and your sphere of influence. That's number one.
So that's all the questions I have, but I want to see if there's any questions in the audience before we move forward. Anybody have a question for anybody on the panel? Just put your hand up, I'll run your microphone.
Oh, I don't know the microphone.
Well, I want everybody to hear your question.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. I haven't heard any of you talk about door knocking. Do any of you do that, or did you do it? If not, why?
We can't hear what you said.
She asked if she said she didn't hear anybody mention door knocking, and she asked if any of us had done that. I did that. I picked a neighborhood where I had my very first listing, and I knocked on every single door, and there are still people that I talked to from that first, you know, I got the gall, and I don't still have the gall, and I mean, COVID kind of made it okay to not do that, and I was grateful. But yeah, you know, 2016, 2017, I was knocking on doors and made some contacts from it.
Door knocking is amazing.
It works.
I will say that you can probably make 5 times as many phone calls as you can in the same time that you door knock. But door knocking is amazing.
My coach would
It's
say the same thing.
a great source.
You don't think it's more beneficial being face-to-face?
No, we like it door to door.
Again, real estate really is a numbers game. The more people you talk to every day is in direct correlation to how many deals you're going to close. So if you can door knock for 4 hours and talk to 15 people, and you can get on the phone and talk to 200 or 100 or what, you know, to me it's sort of a numbers game. You know, you'll make more friends the other way, but it's how much time do you have in a day? And door knocking's hard. I mean, how many people here door knock consistently? Again, I'm sure you stopped because of, but you don't have to stop now. But I bet no one's door knocking. So if you want to door knock, it's probably a great time to do it.
Okay, there's another question.
On phone calls.
Oh, the mic's off.
Is it? How about now?
Good.
On phone calls, can you split up where you spend your time versus sphere versus old expires versus, say, FISBO, if you ever had something like that?
Again, I love talking to my past clients, so I do that way more than I probably should. But those other again, as a newer agent, you probably don't have a lot of past clients. But a lot of times it's almost like inventing people that you'd like to know. Like trust attorneys would be a good person for real estate agents to know, right? So if you've got the word I can't use the word I was thinking, but if you have the guts to pick up the phone and call all the trust attorneys in town, you're probably going to reach 20% of them, but threaten to take them to lunch. And that might be a source of business where one of those people could give you 6 deals a year. If you want to do 40 deals a year, you've got a good start. You find 2 of those, you get about a third of your business knocked out. So it's almost like dream up the people that you would like to have in your database. But expireds are great too, and for sale by owner, I mean, those are fairly motivated people. They're not. There's kind of different degrees of cold calling, right? When you're just calling around a listing in your office or something like that, that might be a great source. But a for sale by owner is actually trying to sell his house, you know. So you should try all of them. Again, if you've got nothing in your schedule and you schedule prospecting for, I mean, the truth is you could probably prospect for 6 hours a day if you wanted to with a lunch break. Once you get busy, you won't have that much time. You could cut it back to 2 hours.
My question was about the same regarding cold calling. I was in inbound call center for 12 years, so I don't mind talking to anyone. I would get up in the morning at 4 o'clock, get the ads rolling for New York, Miami, get the calls coming in. But those are all inbound leads. As far as converting that, hi, hello, this is who I am, how do you feel that initial sentence is? Because I know scripting is really important when you're doing your cold call or doing your call sale in general. But in today's day and age, everyone, like let's say I'm calling attorneys or calling somebody, how do you get that first sentence over, I'm trying to solicit you for something too, I'm just trying to, you know, make this into a comfortable conversation?
You should write your script or borrow one that you think might work or tweak one that you think works. They're not sitting around waiting for you to call. But, you know, again, it's a numbers game. You just got to pick up the phone and start doing it. And having a script is better, at least in the beginning, and then you're going to get hung up on, you know, but over time you'll be successful.
We used to do like between 6,000 and 7,000 calls a day. And
so what is an inbound call? They're calling you?
They were calling us. The company I founded was First Step Equity. We were dealing with foreclosure listing data from 2006 until 2018 when we shut down. And during 2008, 2009, we were running 5,000 to 7,000 inbound calls daily.
So these were people that their houses were being foreclosed on? These
were people looking for data and information, real estate agents, these are investors, these were guys buying it. And we had a source where we were getting leads essentially from lenders and from title companies before they would foreclose or file the notice of default on the property. And so we'd have people calling us trying to get those information way ahead of, you know, the 30 days before it would hit.
So had you cold called this guy when he was doing that business, he probably had 30 listings he could give you in a month. Right? All these people are calling him because they're going to lose their house. He might have been a good source had you called him.
We were the bird dog,
yeah.
There's a lot of bird dogs right now.
There's a lot of bird dogs, yes.
Spencer, did you hear that question?
The question was about conversion. How do you take that, how do you go from that first, you dial, you say, hi, I'm calling you, my name is, and then you want to get them converted to a conversation that leads to a sale. What's your strategy? What do you, because I know you're really good at that, so I thought maybe you could speak to the room about that.
Yeah, so number one, it first depends on what that source is, right? Now, are you calling neighbors because of a listing? Are you calling expired? Are you calling FSBOs? Are you calling people that came to a website, right, looking at homes? The idea, though, is there's many different flows depending on what it is. So, for example, a fantastic line that I've learned from very good coaches that generate a lot of online leads. Let's say you're doing online leads. The very first question to have is, I saw that you were looking at one of our websites. Curious, were you looking for fun or thinking about making a move in the near future? Right, so like these are trying to open up that dialogue, trying to understand what is their possible motivation, and then you can go through the other things of like learning a little bit more about their goals. Now, if you're calling an expired, as an example, well, they're getting bombarded with a lot of agents. And so the approach isn't, they don't really want to hear about another agent. But on the other end, they want to be heard, right? And so the conversation of that would be more of like, tell me a little bit of like what happened. Like almost like a counselor, because they clearly went through a really bad experience to even have it expire, right? So they're not having a good taste of realtors in their mind. So it's about more of understanding what exactly happened, why were they looking to move to begin with, connecting with them, and then ultimately going to share how your services can be impactful. But the idea of like understanding scripts is also important because it goes back to this. It's a numbers game. If your dialogue is like all over the place, how do you know where to improve, right? Like if it's all over the place, like you may have like 5 different scenarios that are going. How are you tracking to ensure like that's a good flow, or you're getting yourself better at having those conversations? And so there's generally a framework for all of these different sources. You need to write it, you need to practice it, you need to be very good at it. And if it's not working with the numbers that you thought it would be, then it is then that's where you may go through improvements upon whether that scripture is working or not. But to be fair, it's also a numbers game, and that's why like you can be the best salesperson in the world. You still got to take as many at-bats as possible. And so that goes back to the effort side of things.
Yeah, it reminds me of something my now deceased grandfather used to say to me. It's, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you talk. People want to be heard. Okay, let's have the next slide, Emma, if we can. So that's really all we have for today. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I really appreciate everybody.